Welcome back to my channel, guys. Oh my god, we've got a crazy one to talk about today, especially if you are a Nintendo fan. So ever since the NES Classic Edition, when that was announced, released, all the way up until now with the Super Nintendo Classic Edition, talks of a Nintendo 64 Mini, people have been saying, no, the Game Boy Classic Edition is next. That is what Nintendo is going to do. Or, when is the Game Boy Classic Edition coming out? That has been a huge topic of discussion for a while now. And my stance always was that I don't think Nintendo's going to do it. I think Nintendo is only going to stick to the plug-and-play consoles. Why? Why would Nintendo make a dedicated handheld device that has preloaded games on it? Who does that, right? Now I'm really thinking, why was I thinking that? That doesn't make any sense. Plenty of companies make handhelds with preloaded devices. I just reviewed one yesterday, the Go Retro Portable. So that is where the news comes in today. So I believe this is indication that I am right and I am wrong at the same time. So Nintendo had filed this patent application, and it's just recently been discovered. So the patent was filed in the US, and it concerns a device that is very Game Boy-esque looking, obviously. So what is this thing? Well, essentially to me, what my thought is that this is going to be the Game Boy Classic Edition. And if you go through this, this is a huge document of information and pictures and whatnot. And we'll kind of go through some of this in a moment here. But what this device is going to do, in my opinion, is negate the need for a dedicated Game Boy Classic Edition. This thing I find fairly interesting. Is it something I would use? Is it something I would buy? I don't know. In all honesty, I like Nintendo, but this is a wait and see for me. But what does this device do? You just glance at this and think, oh, this is the Game Boy Classic Edition. And I think you would be right and wrong at the same time, because essentially what this is going to be is a case for a capacitive touch screen. So why would Nintendo make something like this? I think it's to appease that desire to play handheld games in official capacity. So essentially what you would do is you would put a cell phone in here. I don't know that they're necessarily going to make a specific device for this. It seems like it may be something they could, but at the same time, you would just make an all-in-one device, not a case. So what you would do is you would put the touch screen in here, and this window would be for your gameplay, obviously, right? So this seems like a very cheap and easy way to make a Game Boy Classic Edition where you don't have to worry about the hardware, where Nintendo doesn't really have to worry about much other than the software part of it. So what you're going to do, and as you can see in these pages here, is that essentially it's a fold-over case. It's got holes for like the speaker and a camera, so it seems like it's going to be for some kind of specific phone. Maybe they're going to partner with somebody, I don't know. I just don't see a specific device being made for this case, but we could be surprised. Now, the way this works, without reading everything with you guys on here, because it is a lot of information to take in, but it is fairly simple. With a capacitive touch screen, the way that works with, I'm not a scientist, guys, but it uses conductive touch, so the touch from a human being or some kind of stylus that is made to have, a conductive pad on it. And that I find interesting because the D-pad, the A and B button, the start and select button, with those simply just touching a screen, it uses the same thing. It has like conductive pads underneath, and I'm pretty sure there's images. Yeah, there's conductive pads that go underneath all of the buttons that trigger those specific inputs. So a really interesting and odd way to appease that desire for a Game Boy Classic Edition, with Nintendo venturing into the the cell phone market with a bunch of games that they've done with Mario Run and the Animal Crossing. Can't remember what that one's called, that Camp something, or I don't remember, but they've done a few cell phone games, and I think they're trying to get into that market and do stuff like this, because you look at this picture right here, that looks like a cell phone. It's obvious that's what this is meant for. It's meant for a cell phone to be placed in there and use that entire screen, very similar to devices by like Hyperkin and whatnot that I recall, where you would just slide your phone in and you could play games on it, and it would just cut off the top part of the screen, and you would use the buttons in the same fashion as this. But this obviously is most likely going to use some kind of official software to play these games. So are they going to be doing a Game Boy virtual console on Android or, Apple phones? That could be kind of interesting for a lot of people. Myself, I'm not much of a gamer on my phone. I don't really play games on my phone. I have in the past, but it's not really something I use my phone for. As you see, they do have a lot of diagrams showing how the state of the buttons work with the conductive pads and whatnot. It's fairly simple stuff, it seems. Just, it touches the screen, and the way they have the program programmed is that those specific spots on the screen being touched will trigger those specific inputs. I'm sure it'll be a quality thing, but I kind of find it odd but intriguing at the same time. Nintendo's really trying to spread out and get into all sorts of different markets. And I really feel with this, it's going to excite a lot of people, but then a lot of others are going to be like, man, I would have rather had a real Game Boy Classic. Because I seriously feel with this device, having a patent for it, this is something that's not going to be very heavy on their resources to produce. They're not having to make hardware. They're just going to have to make a case and some buttons with, capacitive touch conductive pads underneath the buttons, and then, design the software around that. It's gonna be cool, but at the same time, people are gonna want that actual device, and I think this is just gonna create, a state where they don't have a desire to make a specific standalone device. So I don't know. I mean, am I excited about this? Not really. I mean, just my initial thought here is that this is intriguing. This is interesting. But am I excited about it? I'm excited about anything Nintendo does with innovating things and some of their games that they put out. The Nintendo Switch has been amazing to me, and a lot of other people as well. And there's tons of talks about a new version of the Nintendo Switch coming out in 2019. And for me, with something like that, my Nintendo Switch works just fine. If the new Nintendo Switch that comes out, if it doesn't offer anything substantial, I'm going to hold off. Nintendo tends to innovate, but sometimes they make some missteps. And I don't know with the news of the new version of the Switch if that's going to be a misstep or not. It's too early to tell because we have no details on that. And looking at this, is this device going to be a misstep? I don't know. I really don't know. Tons of people play cell phone games. Tons of people do. Just because I don't doesn't mean that I'm blinded to what the actual marketplace and culture is with gaming. A lot of people play games on their cell phones and on their tablets. So I see there's a huge market for that. Just because you're not interested doesn't mean other people aren't. And that holds true to a lot of things that I look at on my channel. And for me, I'm not interested in a device like this. But I am interested in the prospect of this causing Nintendo not to do something more significant with the Game Boy properties as a whole. Because I seriously think this is the cheap way out. This is the way to get that Game Boy Classic going, but not have to make a Game Boy Classic. I'm sure they can turn around some software very quick for a device like this. Get some, first-party games thrown up on the cell phone eShop, however they go about doing it. Pretty sure the turnaround on that can be pretty quick. And, have a clean look to it and whatnot, and everything perform reasonably well. I mean, it's just Game Boy games we're talking about here. This device here uses just 2 buttons, so if they're going to emulate anything on this, it's going to be Game Boy or NES. And with the look of it, it looks like a Game Boy. To me, it's probably going to be mostly Game Boy and Game Boy Color games that are utilized for this, with the possibility of maybe some NES stuff. I mean, this could be just, I'm all backwards on this, and it could just be for an NES emulator that they're going to put up on, cell phone shops, the Google Play Store and the whatever the Apple Store is. So, I mean, too early to tell, but very interesting news indeed, in my opinion. Very curious as to what you guys think. I will put a link to this document so you can read through it, because there's a lot of interesting stuff in here. But like I said, it's fairly simple, so a lot of people may not want to read through this whole thing, but I'll put a link so you guys can peep it out if you are interested. But I'm curious to hear, what do you guys think about this? Is this cool news? Is this what you hoped for? Are you hoping this just, doesn't occupy that space and Nintendo still considers doing a Game Boy Classic Edition a standalone handheld device? That's what I'm hoping for, even though originally it wasn't that I didn't hope for something like that. It was just more so that I didn't think Nintendo would do it. And this device right here makes me think that, Nintendo doesn't want to do something like that. They want to cheap out and just make a cell phone case. So share your comments down below, guys. Smash that like button. Make love to that notification bell. And if you haven't subscribed already, what are you waiting for? Seriously, hook a brother up and give me a subscription here. Got a lot of cool content going on. A lot of amazing giveaways. A lot of sweet stuff happening. Also, we are giving away, I know this is a video about Nintendo, but we are giving away a PlayStation Classic. And that is going on Twitter. So if you use Twitter, jump on over to my page, take a look at that pinned tweet. All the information is there for my PlayStation Classic giveaway. So peep it out, guys. Thanks for watching, spending these few minutes with me. It really means the world. And with that said, guys, I will catch y'all next time. Peace out, bye-bye, and boom.